All right, so this is a quick tutorial, we'll see how quick it'll be, on how to make a moss inside of Maya, okay? So it's not going to be exactly like moss as we understand it, because that would take a bit longer to do. So we're going to do something closer to like ground covers, like small grass and leaves that we'll read, you know, close to moss, okay? So here I have this representation of the claptrap body, right? And if we want to add moss on here, here's what we're going to do. We're going to select I'm going to hide the sky light real quick. We're going to select the body of the claptrap here. We're going to go to generate up here, right? Click on it. And then down here, you will see under paint effect, you have make paintable. Click on that, right? And then go back to the paint effect tool. Excuse me. Go back to generate, and there's your paint effect tool. Click on it. Now you can draw on it and stuff, right? Super cool. Now by default, my paint effect is like this black brush strokes. Yours might be something different. If you want to change it, go here under poly modeling. You see this blue tab, right? Click on it. It will open up your content browser. And in here, it defaults to the biped modeling tools for me. But if you go to here, it says paint effect, right? Click to expand that, and you have airbrush and animals. You can paint a snake, I guess, paint a city, paint cloud. But we're gonna do all that. I'm gonna keep scrolling down here to where it says plants mesh, and you guys can kind of kind of explore this at your own time and see what looks the best. But for me, the um, plants mesh here, I'm going to choose that one. And you have all these different kinds of plants. And the one I'm going to use is this ground cover or ground cover bright. Doesn't really matter. I like them both. I think the ground cover bright might give us a little bit more like variation in the colors. Right, so we might use that one instead. Where is it? Right here. Double click it. Now we can close that out. So now if I paint, we get some plants, right? It's not that simple. We're not done. So this is the default size of my brush. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo it, and in my tool setting here. So I have all these different things we can do with the paint brush, but the one thing you can do is changing the size. And for that, if you hold down B and the key B on your keyboard and then left click and drag, it will drag up. And now the bigger the size of your brush, the bigger the plants are going to be. So be careful there, right? Do something reasonable so we don't have to have so many things covering our claptrap, right? Might do just a little bit smaller. Right, something like that will do. And you can, reduce the brush size so that like smaller variation and whatnot. Right, I would advise doing this in a combination with with the texture that you do in Substance Painter, so you're not purely relying on this, right? I'm gonna do that. So now that's paint effect, and you can see I have some nice ground coverage for my plants, right? But however, if I go back here and turn my Skydome light back on and render, it won't show up because by default paint effect does not work with Arnold, right? It's a paint, really. So how do we get to work with Arnold? We're going to close that out here. So when we draw our paint effect, here is all our brush strokes right here. And let's highlight all that. You'll see that's what it's doing. select them all, go to where it says modify, convert paint effect to polygon, like that. So what that does is it converts all the paint effect to polygons. So now that I've done that, they put all the polygons in these groups. I'm going to go and delete out the paint effect now. If you don't see the color, just hit 6 on your keyboard, then you will see it. Yeah? And you will see that it looks pretty cool here. If I render it though, it doesn't look nearly as good. It looks like kind of like super wet and weird. So what we're going to do, I'm going to close out the render there. Type in leaf in the search bar there and expand everybody. Let me back up a little bit. So when you convert your paint effect into polygons, what that does is it put a leaf. It converts all your paint effects into the polygon, and the polygon that you've made is it's a mesh like this that has two parts. It has the leaf part and it has the stem part, right? Like if I just isolate this first group here, right? You see it has the main, which is the stems, and the leaf, right? So every single one of these groups has the same thing, main and leaf. If I put them all in a group here, that doesn't work. So that's essentially what that's doing, right? Like it put everybody in a group, and the group has the main stem and the leaves. So now what we're going to do, we're going to unisolate, I'm going to select everybody here, click and drag to select, and hold down shift to unselect the body of my claptrap. Hit Control G to group everybody together. And what that does is it empties out these groups, right? So now my groups are empty. I can delete these. And now I have a groups of all leaves and main parts like this, right? Cool. So now what we're going to do is in the search bar here, I'm going to type in leaf like this. So it narrows down to all the leaf components of my quote unquote moss, right? In my hypershade, which is this little ball right here, if you click on that, you will see this is a window of all of my materials. And for every brush strokes that you have made, it make a leaf shader and a stem shader for it. And so this and that is one, this and that is one. We have a lot of different materials here that are just effectively the same material over and over again, right? What we want to do is we just want to use one leaf material and one stem material for every single one of these instances, like leaf and stem, right? We don't want to have the same material repeat over and over. That's too many. So what we're going to do, in our outliner, I had typed in leaf to isolate just all the leaf component. I'm going to select them all like this. Hover over this, make sure it says, ground cover bright 10 leaf shader. Right click and do assign material to selection. Like that, right? So now all the leaves has just this one material instead of all these different ones. Okay, I'm going to go to main, type in main, and now do the same thing. Select all the mains. Right click on the one that says ground cover bright shader, 10 shader. The one that doesn't say leaf in it, right? Right click and hold and click assign material to selection. So now all the stems have this one material. Okay? now that I've done that, I'm going to go to edit and then delete unused nodes, and it's going to get rid of all the unassigned one. And the reason why we want to do that is because if we render them, like I've already shown you, the leaves do not look correct. They look really dark and weird. So we want to tweak this material, and we don't want to have to tweak the material like 11 or 10 times or however many instances of it there were. We want to tweak it just one time, right? So I'm going to select the leaf part here, boop, like that. And here's my material, ground cover bright 10 leaf shader. You can rename this if you want to, just material leaf. Keep jumping to the ramp there. So here we see that the color is really dark. So here's the parameters that we need to change. I'm going to crank the diffuse up to 1. And now we get a little bit more green there, right? Looks pretty cool. And I'm just going to reduce the reflectivity. If I reduce it all the way, then you see it like, it's pretty nice. I'm going to keep it a little bit high. And the specular color, the highlights will be a little hotter. I'm going to reduce it back a little bit. All right, so we're getting somewhere. And within the color here, sorry, let me back up. Within the color, if you click on it, it has this ramp color, right? And under color balance, I know it's really like contrived. You have color gain, right? And within this little logo here for color gain, that's where the leaf texture is at, right? So if you go to down here and then go to color balance, and if you up the exposure of it, see our leaves, our moss, you know, whatever, start to be a little greener. You know, maybe we don't want it that green. Reduce it a little bit. There you go. So that's how you do that. Okay. And you can repeat the same step for the stem part of it. So zoom in here, select the stem, and in here, although the stem that looks okay, can reduce the reflectivity a little bit and increase the diffuse power. And I think the stem was already closer to being correct. So that's how, and then I'm going to zoom back out here. That's how we can add moss onto our claptrap. Now keep in mind that if you have like multiple parts on top of each other, like for example, if you know your claptrap has like parts on top of parts like this, which is kind of what I told you guys to do, the moss will not like, you cannot like kind of like paint over two parts. So if you run into this issue, just, you know, one thing you can do is just select the moss and literally just like move them out, like rotate them. Oh, sorry, not there. Maybe if I center pivot it, move it, or use a little vertices, and with, you know, soft selection, you can push them in and out. Do whatever you want, or you can literally just repeat the same paint effect step, but paint it over this little guy here, so that you know, you have like going over. Although it looks pretty good, you know, with just sort of moving it a little bit, it works pretty well too. So again, please use this effect in conjunction with like the texture underneath to get the desirable effect. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Yeah, thanks for watching.